So sorry for the late start, but I would like to welcome the Republican women of Virginia to Freedom Corner. We've been holding this vigil now for 715 days. The guys inside the DC gulag, no matter who's been inside this pod, for about 1,285 days, have been singing the national anthem every night at 9 o'clock. The vigil began August 1st of 22 with Ashley Babbitt's mother, and it has been held continuously since. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Nicole. My husband is Guy Reffitt. He was the very first Jan 6er to go to a jury trial. He was convicted of all of his charges, and he was sentenced to 7.5 years. And he did not enter the building. He was not charged with a violent crime. The bulk of his time came from the obstruction of an official proceeding charge, the 1512C2, which now SCOTUS has said cannot be applied to Jan 6ers if they did not intentionally bother the balloting, paperwork, and handling of any of those things that would be included in the certification that day. With Guy being the very first trial to go, when I saw what this government did to my husband and the narrative that they were trying to push, I knew that I needed to be here in DC and to be present and to be there for these families of Jan 6ers, because it is quite a very scary feeling walking into that courtroom and hearing the United States of America against Guy Wesley Reffitt. And it's very intimidating, it's very scary, and they make it that way. They want it to be scary for you, and they want it to be intimidating. So, so I have been able to be here and to be with family members while they go through this process. But the things that we're dealing with, and so through this process, I have probably sat through more Jan 6 cases than most people. I've heard a lot of different arguments. I was even able to hear the obstruction of an official proceeding charge argued at the Supreme Court level. And, and what an experience, I will say, that I did get to see that, especially an argument that meant so much to our countrymen. So, through this process, now that SCOTUS has brought down several of these charges, the obstruction of an official proceeding, and I'm going to use my husband's case as an example, because this obstruction charge is affecting over 350 Jan 6ers right now. This charge holds a weight of 20 years, and I can explain more later when I go into it of the legal struggles and dealing with this weaponized DOJ as I continue on. So as we have been a proponent for, my husband and myself, has been, we must take this government to task, because yes, there were things done that day, but Jan 6ers are being overcharged and they're being persecuted for those charges. The 1512C2 being the most heavy charge that you can get convicted of or plead guilty to. So at this point, like I said, over 350 Jan 6ers have been charged with this obstruction charge. At this point today, we have about 1,450 arrested and charged Jan 6ers. We have over 850 plea deals. That is huge when you look at these numbers. Many people have pled to this obstruction of the 1512 proceeding. And, so as we've gone through and really try to put the government to task and say this is not the charge for Jan 6. This is overcharging our Jan 6ers. And it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And lots of things for Jan 6ers have been won at the appellate level. During my husband's sentencing, his heavy charge was the obstruction of of an official proceeding, the 1512C2. When you go into sentencing, they do have a guidelines that the judges can use. They absolutely do not have to use them. They are just guidelines. but a numerical value is placed on each one of your charges. And depending on how the government is going to proceed and group these charges, that's all very technical to get into. But as we have gone through getting all of these charges washed in the appropriate legal avenues, what we have found is that these judges are doing whatever they want to. So my husband, charged with the 1512C2, is a numerical value of 14. So when you go to sentencing, if you have nothing else on you, you have now, with this one charge, a numerical value of 14. They gave him 2 enhancements that added 11 points to this obstruction charge. Now, just at a glance, my husband now has a sentencing guideline of 25 because of the 11 points. Well, through the legal process in the appellate level, in the Brock decision, the appellate court said that these 11 points that are enhancements cannot be applied to this obstruction charge the way that they were applying it. They were administration of justice, and I forget the other enhancement, but those were 11 points. So those 11 points should have came off of my husband's sentencing guidelines, and now, let's say he's just now down to a 14. These judges are basically saying that they have a rule called the 3553 rule, and it is of their discretion on how things should be done. And so even though the guidelines say that my husband should already be at time served and allowed out, because of her discretion, she is not going to really apply what the appellate court said and said you cannot give these enhancements to this charge. And so now his time should theoretically come down. But because they believe the day is so grave that there is no other charge that can equate how horrible the day was. So, and it being an election year, they would like to keep many of these Jan 6ers inside in case Trump might spurn on more violence. And Judge Lambert has said that. Not Guy's judge, but Judge Lambert. And, so now we go from them saying that our people are not political prisoners, but absolutely making it political on why they are imprisoning them. So, these are the difficulties that we are dealing with at the judicial level. Because what they are going to do, even now that Fisher has been dropped down, they're going to still try to find a way to keep this charge attached to Jan 6ers because they need the time. It is true weaponization of this government. I honestly believed, I was brought up to actually believe that people that held the office of judge and people that wanted to be in the FBI and do these things, that these are people of integrity. Unfortunately, through this process, I realize now that no, it does not take people of integrity anymore to hold these offices or to hold these positions. And, we were absolutely infiltrated before January 6th in many of the chat rooms. And, so it's really, really hard now to have faith in this judiciary. But we have to. We have to have faith in it, and we have to continue on with taking them to task. We can't just give up, because that is our only real peaceful way to make a difference and to make sure that these charges are sorted by higher courts. It is really unfortunate because while you are fighting these charges and fighting back at the appellate level and fighting back at the SCOTUS level, your people are detained. And there is not anything we can do about that. But it is important that we do take these judiciary challenges to task. And it is coming out in many Jan 6ers' favor with how the DOJ has overcharged many people. Some of the other charges that Jan 6ers face is a charge, a 1752 civil disorder charge. Now, this charge is a very heavy misdemeanor. This is where Jan 6ers with just misdemeanors do get their time from. Now, this charge is that you are in an restricted area where a federal protectee is being protected. So, and they are saying because Mike Pence was there that day and he was being protected by the Secret Service, that this charge is relevant to Jan 6ers. Well, what some of the judges have done and come out and said, and this will be also taken up with the appellate court, it hasn't quite come down yet, is that did they know that there was a federal protectee? Some judges say it doesn't matter. The law actually does state knowingly. So knowingly is very much attached to this. Did you know that Mike Pence was going to be there? Many people just thought they were going to protest. They had no real idea of what that process was going on inside. So, many people did know, but many people did not know. So these are other charges that we're really going to have to take down the line. Where this becomes like almost a two-tiered system of justice is, we all remember the attack in Lafayette Square and, and how many Secret Service agents were injured. I believe there were 26 that were injured that day. No one that was there that day is charged with a 1752. And the reason being, this has been brought up in court, and the reason being is that the peaceful transfer of power was not happening at the protest in Lafayette Square, where the Secret Service was injured. Whereas January 6th, we stopped, or not we, but those that attended, according to the government, stopped the peaceful transfer of power, which is, they believe, something that we've done for 248 years without fail. What they don't care about is that many people believed that election lacked integrity, so that you had to have a voice to stand up and say, I don't believe, we need to rethink, we need to stop, and we need to have a redress of what's going on. And, so there's two correlations of the different charges. I really implore many of you that are watching now to go to 4Ashli, the number 4, ASHLI, and really check out the websites that we have there. We have many live streamers. 1791 Stormtrooper, he's been out here with us from the beginning, and you can really go back and look at a lot of his videos and see what we're doing. I encourage you to listen to the roll call and the anthem that we have going on at 9 o'clock. These guys and gals have been singing it for almost 1,285 days. There is a bit of a change to the way that they do sing the national anthem. There's an emphasis really put on still there regarding our flag. And the reason that they say that is because no matter what this government has done, no matter what our country is going through, when you look up, that flag still stands. It is still there. It stands for liberty and justice, and it stands for this country. So, out here on Freedom Corner, we are about peace. We are about unity. We are about MAGA. We are about America first here. And I would love for any of y'all, if y'all make it to D.C., please come join us here in the corner and really experience this. We did have a few technical difficulties getting started up because, we're beside a cemetery on a corner out here. So thank you guys for tuning in. And please, if you have any questions, you can email Mickey at info@4Ashli.com. So thank y'all for watching.
Well done.